The congregation left before the frost, left the hymnals on the floor. Brother James was found inside the well. Nobody looked no more. The deacon said the Lord provides for all. The deacon took the land. We sang the hymns with empty bellies then, with bloody tithe in hand. Crooked hymn, crooked hand, crooked cross upon this crooked land. Sing it low, sing it wrong. We've been singing the crooked hymn too long. Crooked God, crooked grace, crooked smile on a crooked face. Still I bow my head and mouth the words, crooked hymns for a crooked world. My sister took the veil at 17. Said she heard the calling clear. By 23 she'd wept the veil to rags, and the Lord had disappeared. I watched her sit in empty churches then, talking to the stone. Some people pray so hard and long enough they learn to be alone. Crooked hymn, crooked hand, crooked cross upon this crooked land. Sing it low, sing it wrong. We've been singing the crooked hymn too long. Crooked God, crooked grace, crooked smile on a crooked face. Still I bow my head and mouth the words, crooked hymns for a crooked world. Sunday morning all the trucks are gone from the gravel parking lot. The steeple leans a little to the east, like everything that's rotting off. I light a candle not for God above, but for the ones below, the ones who never got the crooked hymn, the ones the Lord let go. There's a crossing out on the old saltpine road where the two black highways meet. The locals leave their offerings in the mud at the crossroads, at the feet
of a wooden post with no name carved
in a rusted weather vane. I've driven past it 40 years and always felt the cold before the rain. Saltpine crossing, saltpine night. Saltpine is where you give up the fight. Leave your sorrow at the wooden post, leave an offering for the one you love most. Saltpine crossing, saltpine wind. Saltpine is where the road bends in, where you turn around to keep on through. Saltpine crossing is waiting for you. Her wedding ring one March, pressed into the black mud deep. A man left both his work boots there in May, said he had no more use for feet. A child left the drawing folded small of a family standing whole. I saw it once before the rain took it. Something about it took my soul. Saltpine crossing, saltpine night. Saltpine is where you give up the fight. Leave your sorrow at the wooden post, leave an offering for the one you love most. Saltpine crossing, saltpine wind. Saltpine is where the road bends in, where you turn around to keep on through. Saltpine crossing is waiting for you. Last autumn I drove out to the saltpine road with something in my coat. I won't tell what I left at the wooden post. I won't write down what I wrote. I drove home with both hands steady on the wheel, and the radio on low. Something lifted off my chest out there, something I was ready to let go. October, when the soil is ready and the light is done, we bring what we have grown and what has rotted. We bring it all beneath the dying sun. The night soil is the richest of the offerings, what we return to, what we took. The land remembers every year we fed it, every harvest in the book. Night soil hymn, night soil give, feed the ground so the ground lets you live. Night soil hymn, night soil prayer, return to the dark what the dark put there. Night soil sacred, night soil right, darkness feeds the darkness in the night.
What you give the earth, it gives you back.
Night soil hymn,
night soil black. Said the old one sang this
while they turn the compost in the fall.
She said the song keeps the ground from grieving
when the harvest takes the last of all.
She said a field that's never sung to properly
goes cold inside eventually.
She sang to every row she ever planted.
She sang it all by memory.
Night soil hymn, night soil give.
Feed the ground so the ground lets you live.
Night soil hymn, night soil prayer.
Return to the dark what the dark put there.
Night soil sacred, night soil right.
Darkness feeds the darkness in the night.
What you give the earth, it gives you back.
Night soil hymn,
night soil black.
We leave the offerings in the turned earth there.
We walk back to the lanterns of the village,
and we don't look back and we don't stare.
Because the old one said the ground needs privacy
to do what the ground does at night.
To take the offerings down into the darkness
and turn the dying into light. Came through in August with a tent full of heat and lights. He laid his hands on every willing sinner and he looked at them with copper eyes. He took the offerings and he healed the lame, or said the lame were healed. By morning he was 3 towns down the road and the lame were in the field. Coppermouth gospel, coppermouth word, sweetest poison you ever heard. Coppermouth preacher, coppermouth grace, salvation with a coppermouth face. He'll take your money and he'll take your faith. He'll leave you standing in an empty space. Coppermouth gospel going down smooth till you realize you've been made a fool. My aunt believed him when he said her cancer was washed in the blood of the Lord. She gave him every dollar she had saved and thanked him for his word. The doctor said come back in every month, but she put faith over medicine. By October she was gone and the preacher was in another state again. Coppermouth gospel, coppermouth word, sweetest poison you ever heard. Coppermouth preacher, coppermouth grace, salvation with a coppermouth face. He'll take your money and he'll take your faith. He'll leave you standing in an empty space. Coppermouth gospel going down smooth till you realize you've been made a fool. Tracked him to a town in Tennessee. I sat in the back of his tent. I watched him work the crowd like a craftsman works, like he always knew where the money went. I stood up when he called for the offering plate, and I said what I had to say. The tent was quiet as a grave all through it. Then he smiled and looked away.
The bleak marsh stretches to the edge of seeing, where the sky and the ground become one. No tree grows out there and no bird lands under the winter sun. My father walked into the bleak marsh once on a January afternoon. He said he needed to be where nothing grew. He came back by the moon. Bleak marsh lament, bleak marsh cold. Bleak marsh is what you go to when you fall. Bleak marsh cold, bleak marsh wide. Bleak marsh is where the grief goes to hide. Bleak marsh lament, bleak marsh gray. I walk out to the bleak marsh today. Let the nothing hold me for a while. Let the bleak marsh walk me the last mile. The bleak marsh has a sound you can't describe, a kind of ringing without bells, a vibration in the frozen ground itself that the winter marsh exhales. My mother said it was the bones of things that died there long ago, still resonating through the frozen peat in a key only the dead know. Bleak marsh lament, bleak marsh cold. Bleak marsh is what you go to when you fall. Bleak marsh cold, bleak marsh wide. Bleak marsh is where the grief goes to hide. Bleak marsh lament, bleak marsh gray. I'll walk out to the bleak marsh today. Let the nothing hold me for a while. Let the bleak marsh walk me the last mile. stretch where the marsh grass ends, and I breathe out what I can translate. The bleak marsh takes it without judgment, without offering anything back. Sometimes the best a landscape offers is just its cold and absolute black.
We were born on the dirt roads between the mountains, where the pavement gave up and the gravel began. We grew up on the songs that our grandparents carried from countries that no longer held the same land. We learned that the dark is just part of the singing. We learned that the wound is part of the song. We learned that the ones who are gone aren't gone fully. We carry the dead as we carry along. Dirt road song for the living and dead. Dirt road song for the words left unsaid. Dirt road songs rising up from the clay. Dirt road songs at the end of the day. Sing it low, sing it long, sing it into the ground. Sing it for everyone lost and not found. Dirt road songs in the throat and the chest. Dirt road songs for the ones who need a rest. We have worked in the fields and the mines and the kitchens. We have worked in the cold and the heat and the dark. We have buried our children and buried our parents, and buried the things that were closest to heart. We didn't choose beauty, we found it in hardship. We didn't choose song, song chose us instead. The dirt road song is the sound of a people who sang because silence would leave them for dead. Dirt road songs for the living and dead. Dirt road songs for the words left unsaid. Dirt road songs rising up from the clay. Dirt road songs at the end of the day. Sing it low, sing it long, sing it into the ground. Sing it for everyone lost and not found. Dirt road songs in the throat and the chest. Dirt road songs for the ones who need a rest. Now we stand at the edge of an unfamiliar country, where the old songs are fading and nobody's sure whether the singing is worth what the singing costs. whether the old words still open the door. But I'll sing till the dirt road is swallowed by concrete. I'll sing till the last gravel stone is covered in black. I'll sing for the ones who came before and carried. I'll sing to bring something of all of them back.
Never told my mother what I did that summer in the nettle field. I was 17 and someone else, and I never fully healed. The man who asked me didn't ask me right. I didn't have the words to say. The nettle field is houses now in rows, but I remember every blade of gray. Nettle confession, nettle shame. Nettle grows back wild and fast the same. You can build your houses on the field, but the nettle underneath won't yield. Nettle confession, nettle scar. You are still exactly what you are. I'll speak it to the ground, if not to God. Nettle confession, blood and mud and sod. My daughter found me crying in the yard last summer by the garden wall. She asked me what was wrong, and I almost let the whole confession fall. I swallowed it back down like iron water, like I always learned to do. There are things you keep to keep the ones you love from knowing what you've been through. Nettle confession, nettle shame. Nettle grows back wild and fast the same. You can build your houses on the field, but the nettle underneath won't yield. Nettle confession, nettle scar. You are still exactly what you are. I'll speak it to the ground, if not to God. Nettle confession, blood and mud and sod. I'm old enough now to understand that silence is its own kind of sin, that the things we bury in the nettle field keep growing from within. So I'll stand at the edge of what I was and say the name of what occurred. Maybe the nettle field will hear me finally and let me go on just my word.
Grows fast on a fresh turned grave, faster than mercy grows in a man. I've watched it cover the ones I've known since the grief inside me began. The grave digger whistles while he works. He's made his peace with the dead. He says the moss don't care who you were, it just grows on what it's fed. Mossgrave, cover me green, cover what I was and all I have been. Mossgrave, grow thick and slow, let no one remember what's buried below. Mossgrave, hold what I gave, let the living keep moving past my grave. Mossgrave, take me into the stone. Mossgrave, I'm ready to go home. His own grave out behind his father's field. He measured it twice with a piece of old rope and then covered it and healed. He lived another 30 years after that. They say he slept soundly each night. Said there's peace in knowing where you're going. Said it settled something right. Mossgrave, cover me green, cover what I was and all I have been. Mossgrave, grow thick and slow, let no one remember what's buried below. Mossgrave, hold what I gave, let the living keep moving past my grave. Mossgrave, take me into the stone. Mossgrave, I'm ready to go home. There are graves in this churchyard with no names, just a number carved in stone. The ones who had no one to write their name, the ones who died alone. I come here on the dark of the moon, and I speak to each unnamed one. I tell them someone knows they were alive before the moss came and was done. fox died under the woodpile last January. I found it when the snow withdrew. Its bones were clean by March, picked perfect by whatever winter creatures do. I kept the skull on the windowsill through April and talked to it in the dark. Something about the hollow of an eye socket helps a man find the mark. Foxbone winter, foxbone cold. Foxbone is how the story gets told. Something dies so something understands what lives beneath the skin of frozen lands. Foxbone winter, foxbone night. Foxbone is what you hold in the light when the living can't give you what you need. Foxbone winter, foxbone creed. My neighbor said it was unhealthy talk to speak to dead things in the house. I said she kept a portrait of her dead husband in every room in the house. She never answered, just looked at her hands. I think she understood. Some grief takes the shape of what it finds. Some grief takes what it should. Foxbone winter, foxbone cold. Foxbone is how the story gets told. Something dies so something understands what lives beneath the skin of frozen lands. Foxbone winter, foxbone night. Foxbone is what you hold in the light when the living can't give you what you need. Foxbone winter, foxbone creed. By April I returned the skull to the woodpile, put it where the fox had lain. The spring came on and covered it with moss, and I didn't need it again. But every January when the cold comes hard and the silence fills the wood, I think about that clean and perfect skull, and I think it understood.
He left for the war in the autumn, when the thornfield was burning with gold. He kissed me beside the old mailbox and his hands in my hands were cold. I stood in the road till the dust cleared. I stood till the sun went to gray. I've been standing in that same road ever since, and he's been gone every day. Thornfield widow, thornfield wife, waiting at the edge of a half-lived life. Set his plate at the table still, pours coffee on the windowsill. Thornfield widow, thornfield door, open every night as it was before. He's coming back, that's what I say. He's coming back, just not today. The telegram came on a Wednesday. The boy wouldn't look at my face. I read it 3 times before it made sense, and then I put it back in its place. I folded it up with his letters. I tied them with ribbon and twine. Some things you just keep in a drawer in the dark. Some wounds you just keep as your shrine. Thornfield widow, thornfield wife, waiting at the edge of a half-lived life. Set his plate at the table still, pours coffee on the windowsill. Thornfield widow, thornfield door, open every night as it was before. He's coming back, that's what I say. He's coming back, just not today. My daughters say come live with us in town. Say the farm is too much alone. I tell them the thornfield needs tending, and somebody has to be home. When the briars come up through the garden, when the gate swings out in the wind, I could swear I hear boots on the gravel, and I'd rather stay here than go in.
Duskweed grows at the edge of every road that nobody uses no more. It's the first thing that comes back when people leave, and the last thing to show at the door. I've been driving roads the duskweed's taken back for 20 years, it seems, following the roads that maps don't carry, following other people's dreams. Duskweed road, duskweed light, duskweed's all that's left at the end of the night. Duskweed follows everything that ends. Duskweed grows where the broken fence bends. Duskweed road, duskweed song, duskweed is where the living don't belong. I'll drive till the road is swallowed whole. Duskweed road is good for my soul. I stopped at a diner outside of nowhere. The woman behind the counter knew. She poured my coffee without me asking, the way tired people do for tired people who. She didn't ask me where I was going, she just refilled and looked away. Some kindness doesn't need a word around it. Some kindness just lets you stay. Duskweed road, duskweed light, duskweed's all that's left at the end of the night. Duskweed follows everything that ends. Duskweed grows where the broken fence bends. Duskweed road, duskweed song, duskweed is where the living don't belong. I'll drive till the road is swallowed whole. Duskweed road is good for my soul. I'll go back eventually, I suppose, back to whatever I called home, but not until the duskweed calls me back. Not until I've been alone long enough to feel the hollow that I carry, long enough to put a name to it, long enough to know if what I left behind is worth returning to or quit.
The women in my life were made from ironbark. They bent but never broke. They raised the children through the famines and the wars, through every grief that came in smoke. They never asked for softness or for mercy. They asked for what they'd earned. They put their hands in everything that burned and came out rough and stern. Ironbark testament, ironbark line. Women made a harder things than wine. Ironbark mother, ironbark hand. Ironbark is how you take a stand. Ironbark testament running through my blood. Women who are barefoot through the mud. I carry every one of them in me. Ironbark testament, I'm free. Iron grandmother crossed the water in the winter with 4 children and 30 pounds. She said she never looked back at the shore. She only looked at where she was bound. She built her life in an unfamiliar country with her ironbark spine and her name. She never spoke of what she left behind, but I know all the same. Ironbark testament, ironbark line. Women made of harder things than wine. Ironbark mother, ironbark hand. Ironbark is how you take a stand. Ironbark testament running through my blood. Women who walk barefoot through the mud. I carry every one of them in me. Ironbark testament, I'm free. I'm the last of the line with the old name. The daughters took their husbands' names and went, but the ironbark lives in me regardless, no matter where the family was sent. I say their names before I go to sleep. I say them like a prayer or a sword. Every woman who survived to give me life. Every woman who endured.
I dug a hole behind the churchyard wall where the preacher never looks. I buried every promise that I made, every lie inside my books. The soil took my name without a word. The worms don't ask you why. A man can disappear into the ground just as easy as he'll die. Hollow graves, hollow ground. Hollow is the only thing I found. God don't answer out here in the dark, just a silence where there used to be a heart. Hollow grace, hollow road. I've been carrying a man I don't know. borrowed time, hollow grace was never mine. My mother kept a photo on the wall of a man I used to be. She'd dust it off on Sunday after church, like she still believed in me. I called her once in October rain. She didn't pick the phone. Some people keep the dead alive, and some just keep alone. Hollow grace, hollow ground, hollow is the only thing I found. God don't answer out here in the dark, just the silence where there used to be a heart. Hollow grace, hollow road, I've been carrying a man I don't know, walking through this life like borrowed time. Hollow grace was never mine. The winter came and took the last old oak that stood beside the fence. I didn't mourn it long, I recognized the way that dying went. Now I sit out on the rotten porch and watch the field go gray, wondering if the hole I've dug back there is wide enough someday.